Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Raider. I am the co-host of Join the Raid, and with me tonight is Mr. Savage, as always, suave, elegant, and of course, funny and taken. So again, we are here tonight. We have there we go. I had to mute that. Tonight we have a returning guest, Miss Lana Starr.
Hello.
You might have seen her in What Tickles Your Fancy. If you haven't seen it, it's out now. We also have Bill Nye the YouTube guy. Say hello.
Hello.
Introduce yourself.
How are
Introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, I'm Bill Nye the YouTube guy. You can call me Bill. Yeah, variety streamer, cat dad of two.
Okay. Short and sweet.
Yeah, I mean,
Short and sweet and to the point. What we
right?
like.
I was expecting a little bit more fluff, but whatever. Fuck it. All right. Next, we have the lovely Miss Zoom.
Hello, I'm Zoom.
Introduce yourself.
I'm a little variety streamer. I like spooky stuff, and monster trucks.
Awesome.
Okay.
Monster trucks. Who's your favorite
Yeah.
monster truck?
Gravedigger, Adam Anderson in particular for the driver.
Okay. Mr. Savage,
Yes, sir.
how do you feel when someone comes at you with negative words, and how do you handle it?
Negative words. I'm going right into it. Let's see. For me, I don't allow words to hold power over me. So for me, it's a little easier too, because I don't let the words bother me as much. It's like, as the old saying goes, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And I live to that motto pretty well. I never really take words too harshly. I kind of just let it roll off my shoulders, and I kind of wish a lot of people would do that more. So, but I understand that some people, have a different mindset than I do. So it's interesting to see how that works out, I guess.
Yeah. I can find a big ass stick.
I like pain, so that's okay.
So do I. But we're not talking about that this time. All right. So, Bill.
Yeah.
Same question. How do you handle negative words, and how do you handle it all? How do you handle the situation?
I think it took me a long time to get there, but I think nowadays I look at it as like that's a representation of the person using those words, and not a representation of who I am. And so I think it's accountability is important, to hold that person accountable, but not to let them define who I am.
Okay, that's awesome. I like that.
It's a good
I really
mindset.
like that. Also, for those in the live chat, you have questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to tell us, your own personal stories, just write them in the chat. We'll transcribe them. We'll talk about it. We'll answer the questions for you. Now, Zoom.
Same question.
Same question.
Well, younger me wouldn't have taken them very nicely and would have been really hurt. But as I got older, kind of same thing with like Bill. Like I realized like that's just the person, the negative person, and whatever's going on in their lives, and I shouldn't let it affect me. Because everyone has like stuff going on, and unfortunately, some people take it out on others instead of processing the way it's a little bit more healthier.
Yeah. Good answer. Good answer. You already know. You already know.
So I think it's a different combination of things, because definitely younger me would have taken it so very personal and would have been hurt and had to deal with that. And I've had situations that I can talk about later on if you want about that. I also think it depends on who's saying it, because I have a lot of friends where like saying things that might sound mean or derogatory to other people is just kind of a love language for us. Like it's how we speak as friends. Like we know it's not harmful. But as everybody else, as I've gotten older, people who don't know me and have said things like that to me that would normally hurt me, I try not to let it affect me. Sometimes it does, depending on who it is. But a lot of times I'm like, you don't know me. So like talk your shit, but like I'm an amazing person, and I got friends who love me for who I am. I got an amazing family who backs me up. So you can talk your shit and say things that you think are gonna hurt me. But unless you know me, then how the fuck would you know if that shit's real or not?
I agree. Cool. I am the absolute opposite of all of you. I am. I say fuck it. I say, you gonna say something to me? I'm gonna open my fucking mouth. I'm gonna say something. I'm that person that you confront me, I go right back. I match energies. You want to get petty, I get petty. You want to be higher and be like, I'm gonna relax and just work this out the right way and calm and collected. I do that. But I believe in matching energies. Just because for me, it's one of those things that I don't want to be that person that they say, well, he always just, any kind of conflict comes about, he just always backs down from it. I'm not that person.
Oh yeah, I mean, but that's kind of what I was saying about accountability too, is that just because I'm not going to personalize what this person's saying to me that's not equating acceptance of what they're saying and making it okay. You know what I mean? If you're going to come with that negative, I'm going to hold you accountable for, especially, if it's, like we said, derogatory or bigoted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get that. So I'm going to reword this a little bit. Giving words power, harmful words, good words, uplifting words, derogatory words, slurs, everything like that, that they all shapes or form of it affect somebody's psyche in one way, shape, or form. Because you can look at somebody and say, you're absolutely beautiful, or you're handsome, or you'd be like, you look like shit. Things like that, Or, of course, more derogatory words we'll get into in a little bit. But, what are the words that bring you up, that it uplifts you, that make you feel like, I feel special. I feel happy.
God.
Lana?
Me first. Yay!
Yes.
I think it's not necessarily the words themselves, but the people who say it to me. My entire life, I've been the pretty sister. I've been the beautiful one. And while that can be a good thing, hearing it my whole life and having it strain relationships with my siblings, in a sense, when people just randomly be like, oh, you're pretty, like, thanks, but I'm more than just what I look like. Saying that I'm an amazing friend, being like, you're so caring towards me, or like, I just appreciate the fact that like you would drop everything just to like have a chat. Like, just more of the sense of like who I am as a person, and those kind of affirmations I take to heart so much more than when people say, oh, you're pretty or you're beautiful. I've heard that my whole life. And honestly, I'm kind of sick of it. And I know people mean well when they tell me that. And that's why I don't talk about it a lot, or like how upsetting it is. Like, I got into a huge fight with my sister about that. Because she's like, oh, well, I'm so jealous of you, and I have been my whole life because you're the pretty sister. And I'm like, bitch, you are so smart. Like, I've been jealous of her my whole life because she's so extremely smart, like scary smart. And I could never level up to that. So there was that kind of rivalry between us.
Yeah.
And it's just something that, we're working through still to this day. But like, I think my sisters are all beautiful. And so it hurts me that they kind of see that in like a negative aspect.
Yeah.
Of like something to be jealous of. Because looks only get you so far in your life. It's the truth. We all grow old. We all get wrinkles. We're still beautiful, but like, some people don't think so. I think it's beautiful aging. I think it's a wonderful, beautiful process of life.
Yeah.
Not everybody views it that way. But looks do fade over time.
They do, yeah.
But like your personality, what you stand for in life, those things never change. They can alter a bit, but who you are in your core that doesn't really ever change in your life.
Wow, coming out strong and swinging.
Sorry.
No, that's good.
You're
That's
good. You're good. You're good. I had a smart ass comment, but you ruined it.
And look at me go. Oh,
Let's see here. Bill,
Yes.
same question.
So words that are uplifting. Oh god, that's tough. I think for me, obviously like intimacy is really important to me. And I think sometimes people confuse intimacy, and sex and everything like that. And intimacy is so much more, right? So like just words of affirmation for people who have intimate relationships with, whether it's like family members or anything like that. And I think honestly, I could think of a very specific instance when maybe some of the most powerful words are ever said to me. And for a long time, I felt pressured to be something that I wasn't to earn my dad's pride. And that was all internalized. That wasn't him. That was me internalizing that. And I'm working in restaurants, falling in love with wine. This is like the beginning of that. I know I talk about it a lot, but and I was really enjoying it. And I just remember there was no request for this. He just said it, that he said like, I think him and my stepmom came into dinner, and the next time I saw him, he's saying, I watched you and no, I remember when it was, we were on vacation and I'm sitting there reading this book called The Wine Bible as I'm getting ready to study for my level 1 Psalm. And he's telling me later that night, just watching you just like absorbed in that book and just seeing how passionate you are and how happy this is making you. I'm really proud of you. And that was the first time I think he said it where I believed it, because I realized it was never about doing something that he needed me to do. Certified. It was about just doing something that I loved, and so, losing him in 2020 during COVID was really tough. And I found that same sort of affirmation from the owner of the restaurant I work at now, where I come into the kitchen, just have this like 6-top that I just sold a tasting menu to all of them. He's seen the tickets come in, he just looks at me, smiles, gives me a fist bump, and because like he has that pride in me, even and he's so happy to have me there. And that's the kind of thing. It's when you just feel that genuine like love, and that people, even if they don't understand it, they get why you love it.
Yeah. Okay.
that about made me cry.
Come on.
I'm like on the verge of
I
tears
had to
because
like,
I'm like,
I had to take a step back for a
feel
second.
that in
Right.
other situations in my life. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm connecting to it. I'm like, I'm not gonna cry. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
Oh, if you cry, it's going to be on the internet forever.
No.
It wouldn't
Not
be the
having
first time. It wouldn't be the first time, and I wouldn't be ashamed of it. I mean, my dad was very important to me, and yeah, I mean, losing him really messed me up. But I'm very fortunate that I have a stepmother who, in her own way, shows me affirmation, and she does it. My dad's one of those people who, like, it didn't matter what, he would do anything and everything for me. In some ways, to my detriment, but she's the one where she challenges me, and those words too, like, are really powerful.
That's good. It's another good one. God damn, y'all are making everything hard to fucking follow up on, aren't you? Are you just want to one-up each other or what?
I don't know.
It's a contest.
All right.
Bring it. Let's go.
Zoom.
That's a hard one. It is. I would say, like, for me, words of like affirmation has always been something I really loved. Like, just people just telling me, like, I'm happy to have you around. Like, I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that you're a part of my life. You're my friend, and things like that. I just love knowing that people want me around. And I love being around those people. Growing up, I was always like moving and not where I kind of wanted to be. And so, like, knowing that I now have people who want me there is amazing. I know mine's like kind of like short and simple, but like that's just what I love. I love being around people who want me around.
Nice. That's good.
Makes me all sappy. I just love knowing I'm part of a community now.
You already know it's your turn.
No, that's for me. there's a few things, but I guess I'll put it to music. Happy music. Like I'm a hopeless romantic. That's how I categorize myself, and I love music that has that kind of intimacy put into the music. So the words, the beat. A couple years ago, like a song that I came across is it's KSI is the artist, and you probably know him from YouTube and all that. But he actually did a really beautiful song called "Holiday," and it's a very romantic, loving song. You can feel like the passion when he sings it. And typically, when he does his music, it's not like that kind of music. It's more of like rap and stuff, and it's okay. But in this one particular song he does, it shows that emotion, that kind of upbringing beat that kind of gives you happiness, cheerfulness, and I like that kind of stuff. So when I hear that kind of thing in music is such a powerful tool. It can be expressed in so many ways. And one of the ways I like it is through like affection, through love. So yeah, I think I'll go with that.
Your turn.
Yeah, my thing is words of affirmation are okay for me. My thing is the people that show up and like actually, talk to me and actually have the conversations with me and show me that, they are invested in me, that they want me to be there. Because people can tell me, "Oh, I miss you." I don't give a fuck about that statement. It's just the fact of what are you gonna do about it? You know, I'm big on actions, and words for me are just words. Um, Most people call me cold and callous because of that reason, but just from everything I've been through, everything I've seen, just watching people just have that hope in them all the time because people give them their words and say, I miss you so much, I love you so much, or I cherish you so much, but there's no action behind that, actually pulling them there to show them that, hey, I'm actually here. I'm trying to show you I'm actually here.
Like, I actually mean what I say.
Yeah. So it's just, so for me, positive words, like I guess, like, good job, you did good. Like, who was it? I think it was, I can't remember who it was, but they came up to me and they said, hey man, you're doing really well. You're improving a lot. And we see that. So, we saw you a couple years ago. You weren't the best. Right now you're doing way better. We see it. And that meant a lot more to me than anybody else telling me, like, they miss me. I was like, they actually paid attention. So that's it for me on that one. Let's see here. Boss. Zoom.
Yes.
Do you use positive or negative words to describe yourself, and why?
I mainly use negative words.
Okay. Why do you use negative words?
I think with my upbringing, I would say is the main reason why I was bullied a lot in and out of schools and things like that. And I think those words like really affected me to the point where that's all I can see. Like hearing some pretty terrible stuff about me growing up. I worked on myself, I worked on my looks, I wanted to become pretty and all those things. Growing up, I was always made fun of for being ugly. I was super gothic, and people didn't really care for that, I guess, where I grew up. And I would have people write notes about all the reasons why I shouldn't be on Earth anymore. So that really stuck with me. And I think now I can only see me in a negative way.
Okay. So your environmental factors kind of influenced you in a way. Okay.
Unfortunately, and it stuck with my brain. I did a lot of things to try to get it out, and unfortunately, I got to the point where I'm like, you know what? Probably won't see it in a different way. I just need to embrace the things that I do like about myself. Even on like my bad days where there's like not a single thing that I like, I need to find at least one thing.
Yeah. Okay. Trying to see who's not going to one up each other at this time. Let's see who's one up each other. So, Bill.
Yes, sir.
Same question. Do you see yourself in a positive or negative way, and why?
Oh.
And how actually in positive and negative words, and why? When you describe yourself.
I think nowadays, overall, I know it's really important for me to describe myself in positive words. I mean, there are areas where I'm hard on myself still, but um, I think that, kind of like what, Zumbi said, is that there was a point in my life when I was younger that did impact the way I saw myself. And actually led to a lot of just internal turmoil. My biological mother, and I simply say that to separate from my dad and my stepmom, who for so long I've just referred to as my parents, because for like 15 years I didn't even have a relationship with my mother. But nasty divorce. She did not like the idea of me having any kind of like healthy, positive relationship with my stepmom, and was very manipulative. And I had that inner turmoil, of I really did actually care for my stepmom, but I also had to protect my mom, so I was off at her. I think after I graduated college, I just realized, like, even though like she wasn't in my life anymore, I was still acting like that victim. I was a victim of what she put me through. But I started going to the group therapy, and there were people who, I talked about accountability. They held me accountable. It wasn't just a back and forth therapist. There were people there who had been through similar things that I had, but maybe had more time to learn how to cope. And there were people who had been on the other side, and all of that accountability made me realize that in order for me to better myself, I have to stop being a victim. And part of that, I think, is, forgiving myself for being so awful to myself. And then, trying to say like, hey, like, this does not define me.
Okay. All right.
Interesting.
That's good. I like that. Yeah. So how was it growing up like that? How controversial was it for you?
How controversial?
Yeah, because you were split between stepmom and mom.
I mean, I remember I have this very small memory from when I was very young, like during, I think, like the custody hearing. I was like, I don't know how old I was. Like, the fact that this is even a memory, but in the end, I think they were willing to reward my dad custody, but he did not want. He always took the high ground. He did not want to be the one responsible for me not having a relationship with my mom, even though he was always terrified when I was there. It ended up having to be my decision, but I remember going into the office with my dad to talk to the person, and then when their meeting was finished, my mom was going to go in, and she wanted me, like, she's like, oh, are you going to come? And I wanted to stay with my dad. And I just remember like seeing this look of like betrayal on her face. And that's when I realized her love, at least at that time, had conditions. And I took it out on my stepmom, and she just was always very firm with me. Like, she was, more than anyone in my life, the one who set boundaries with me. And I hated it, at least at the time, but in a lot of ways she saved me, later. But here, later in life, like, because of that healing, when I found out just this last January, my biological mom, was sick, that was sort of the last step, I feel like, in my recovery, was going to finally see her. And we talk about words having power, and I remember just sitting in hospital room with her. It was the first time I'd seen her in 15 years, and ended up being the last time. But I had to like get ready to leave and come back home, and she tried to apologize, and I just remember looking at her saying, "We're good. Like, we are okay." And there was a sense of relief in myself from saying it. It was like, in a way, me forgiving her for myself, not for her, but for myself, and her just in relief knowing that, like, there was some closure.
Thanks for sharing, man.
Yeah, that's definitely emotional.
I have a feeling he's gonna make me cry by the end of the night.
Well, the thing is, if we were having this conversation when I was in my early 20s, I would talk about it with a lot more anger, talk about it with a lot more, like, victim stance was a term we used a lot in therapy, It's not to deny what I went through, but to acknowledge that like I can't use that as an excuse for
Anything. Like, you can't use it
anything
as a
anymore.
crutch through life
Right.
anymore.
Any decision I make is my decision. But, I also think that I don't think I would have been as vulnerable about what I was feeling at that time. It's a lot easier to talk about now because of like the 10 years of like group therapy that really only I stopped going because of COVID. I kept going just to always work on bettering myself. And, like we talk about words have power. When you're in a room with a bunch of hurt people who are all trying to be intimate and vulnerable, it's very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you're all there to get better, because you then want to push each other to get better by calling each other out and making sure you guys are holding each other accountable and like
Exactly.
really processing everything and being like
Mm-hmm.
moving forward and not holding yourselves back from healing in any aspect.
Right. And doing it without judgment was really important.
Oh yeah, that's so helpful when you can just be in a room with people and know that like no matter what you say, there is no judgment because you're all there just to better yourselves.
Yeah. I just remember my therapist always talking about like the 4 primary emotions. And he would go sad, mad, glad, and scared.
Mm.
It's somehow, when you're talking about what you're feeling, like it leads to one of those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
He was also a Buddhist, so I felt like that was really powerful too because he incorporated it into his therapy.
Savage.
Yes, sir.
You describe yourself in a positive or negative way?
In my currently, it's a positive. When I was younger, it was definitely negative. A lot like, Zoom here and Bill, you had your negative thoughts about yourself, and then you kind of grow into yourself and get more positive as you go on in life. I think that's a common human trait for most people, not everyone, but as you're growing up, you kind of compare yourself to other people. Why can't I be like this guy, super smart, or this person that's super attractive, or etc. This person's the cool kid in the class. Why can't I be that person, etc. And depending on how you are in school too, you can be bullied, and that might add on to it and all that stuff. And definitely in my younger years, I was definitely the weird kid in school. I would pick my nose. Had braces and all this stuff, and I outgrew it after school. But in the younger years, I definitely, kind of was hard on myself to a huge degree. Like, why do you do this to yourself? Be scared, shy, all that stuff. Today, I outgrew that. I want to say about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Especially like helping, like it helps a lot when you stream too. You get used to streaming, and it kind of lets you not only have fun, get to know people and hang out with people, but you also get used to being you. You just get to be you and enjoy being you, and you don't feel as much judgment from others. Sure, you're still gonna deal with it. That's just natural. You're going to find people that aren't going to like you, and you can't always have everyone like you. That's just impossible. But you kind of, at least for me over time, it's gotten a lot easier to just be like, fuck it, I'm going to be me. If you like me, cool, we can hang out, play some games, watch TV, whatever, get a beer. But if you don't, then that's cool too. You don't have to hang out, you don't have to be around me, and you can move on. And so yeah, I think I'm more of a positive mindset of myself now.
Really good, man. I'll come back to you in a second. Lana, do you describe yourself in a positive or negative light? With words. Yeah, there's a reason you were last on that one.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna do that because you know me.
Yeah, I do know you. I'll call you on your shit too.
Yeah, I know you are.
Y'all can't hear that, but producers like to talk shit.
So there's a difference. Because even though I do talk negatively about myself a lot of the time, does not necessarily mean that I view myself negatively all the time. Because there are things about myself I do not like. There are things about myself that as Zumbi said, like, I will have really bad days where I cannot find one positive thing that I like about myself. And that is something that I've struggled with my whole life. Very similarly, I have been dealing with a lot of trauma that has affected me from a very young age that has changed how I view myself. Because again, with bullying and all of those things, that has affected me and how I view myself because, well, everybody's calling me this. I must be that. And not hearing it just from classmates, but your own family on top of that.
Go ahead. It's okay. Get through it.
I'm trying not to cry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You're
Sorry.
okay.
Yep. Deep breaths. You got it.
You're okay. Remember, you can always say pass and, come back to you later. It's not a big deal.
No, I can do this. It definitely changes how you view yourself.
Mhm.
Especially when it comes from an elder. If it was like a cousin or a sibling, it's one thing, but coming from someone that's supposed to be a parent or a grandparent or an aunt or uncle, it definitely changes how you view things, especially when you are called something and then something traumatic happens like a month or two after. That definitely skewed how I view myself. And it's trauma that I've been working on for 14 years this September, and I have grown so much. And it makes me so happy to see myself in the way I am. Because even though I'm negative about myself, I'm negative in a way that, though to others might be harsh and offensive, is me pushing myself. Because what I say about myself could be making others think that I view myself so lowly. It's progress in my eyes, because from where I was when that happened to where I am now, I've grown. And that progress is going to keep growing. I still do therapy and I still do exercises on it, and I'm still working on myself. And I think I will until the day I die. But it definitely, I think also, like, self-criticizing yourself is not always necessarily a bad thing. Because it makes us see things, because other people see us in a specific light. From very first impressions, you meet somebody and most of the time, you judge them like you judge a book cover. Like, that's the whole reason there's that saying, don't judge a book by its cover. But as we grow and we evolve and we learn more about ourselves, I think having a little negativity helps balance the positive. I think there has to be that yin and yang in it. Because having just thinking you have no flaws, then you become egotistic. You become narcissistic.
An
And
ego.
you think, I think it has to be healthy. And I'm trying to work on that healthy balance. And that's something that I'm very proud of, is that I do view myself in positives in a lot of ways. But I still have that negative that, like, it pushes me to work on myself, but also balances me. Because I don't want to become somebody that everybody's like, oh, she's a narcissistic bitch who only gives a fuck about herself. Like, she thinks she's all high and mighty. Like, I don't want to be like that. I'm too tiny. So I get like that. Somebody's going to throw me over their shoulder and punt me across the states. But yeah, so I think it's just a balance. And I think it's just finding that balance, because we all have really bad days. Everybody's going through something in their life. And a lot of people will hit rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But that helps you find your limit. If you let it, that lets you build. And you can grow stronger. And you become more accepting of yourself, of your flaws, even on your bad days. And being like, I have these flaws, but they make me so unique. And what is so beautiful about that is that it's so different for everybody. And you meet people and you listen to their journeys and you connect with them in a way that you see something that, like, calls out to you, and it builds communities and friendships. And I just think that's a wonderful thing in life, is just finding that balance and working on it.
I do think, though, that, like, acknowledging our flaws, like accepting who we are fully, both, and challenging ourselves, better ourselves, isn't necessarily negative, though. I think it becomes negative when, like, for me, my ADHD, like gets in the way sometimes, and like things become feeling overwhelming, and then I, have a tendency sometimes to shame myself, over it. And like, that's when it becomes negative.
Mm-hmm. But also acknowledging that, like you know that, and you, even though it's in a negative aspect, it is a part of you.
Right.
And learning to live with that and grow with that.
Right. Well, and that's why I think that, like, I look at it as like, okay, like, this is a challenge that I have to overcome, and I'll challenge myself, and I'll recognize that this is something I struggle with. But when I beat myself up over it, that's when the negative thoughts about it,
Mm-hmm.
and then it starts to feel overwhelming. Like, we were just talking about this, about me doing like a massive cleaning in my bathroom so that the plumbers could actually get in there.
Mm.
And just looking at it and like feeling so overwhelmed and putting off. And then when I actually did it, I felt really good, and it didn't take me nearly as long as I expected it to. But my tendency to think negatively about it versus like recognize, like, yeah, this is something I struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get that. It's kind of like when someone is a drug addict, and they actually admit to it. That's the first step to progress. It's you see the flaw, so now you're making that first step. You put your foot in the door, and it's gonna be a tough road. It's gonna be rocky. It's gonna be bumpy, but you're putting in that effort to try to make yourself better, to help yourself, and because you know that you are worth it. You are going to get better, and you are you are you.
I completely agree. I know it's not easy. It's not easy going through that. I'm really proud of how far you've come. I really am. Don't cry.
Which one of us?
You,
Because I feel like 3 of us are about to cry.
all of you, don't cry. So I see myself in the past. I saw myself in a very positive light, and then I had I had a real come to Jesus moment a couple of years back. Realized that my choices weren't the best. The reasons why I did them weren't selfish, though; they were for the right reasons. But it was still my own. I owned it. I was like, you know what? I have to, one, reconcile. I have to fix myself. I have to figure out where I'm going. And then I decided I'm going to do it. And I said, fuck it. I'm going to go through everything the right way, reconcile with people, try to make everything right, and make it better. Not for myself, though. It was for, those people that actually put faith in me and hope in me and wanted me to do better. Yeah. Today, I don't see myself in a positive light. I really don't. I might be doing good things. I might be trying to help as many people as I possibly can. I might be, trying to give people a place to go or anything like that, no matter what I do. But I don't see myself in a good light. I describe myself negatively all the time, no matter what I do. Whether it's from things I've done in the past, from when I was childhood to military to when I got out to now, it's been that way for a while. And everybody says, you should see yourself in a better light because you're not that bad of a guy. But it's like no matter what everybody else says, it's always how I feel and what I think that kind of means the most. Do I feel like I'm a better person? Yeah, I do. Do I think I'm a good person? No. Not in the slightest. There's a lot of things I need to still figure out because, I'm only one guy, so I've making up for about 10 years of mistakes is it's going to take time. So I'm always pushing. Everybody knows that. No matter how bad I feel about myself or anything else going on, I just keep pushing it. I keep driving no matter what, and I won't stop.
And that's a positive. You should see that as a positive in itself. You're not giving up. you keep them pushing.
Man, I've been like this since I was a kid. I'm always driving.
And that's a positive to have in
I'm
life.
always fucking going.
A lot of people don't have that drive. They they'll hit a wall and then they'll stop. They'll give up. And all of us will reach a point in our life where you will actually have that dilemma in your mind. You're going to think, is this where I break? Is this where I give up? And some people, it will be that moment. Other people, it will be a hiccup in the road, yes, and a struggle for sure, but you'll still push through. You're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. You have people to not only help you, but you also know that you're not alone in this, so you're able to push forward.
That's the funny thing about it. Can you say I'm not alone in it? I know I'm not alone in it, but I tend to do everything alone on that standpoint. It's not the fact I don't trust anybody on that one. It's just the fact of I feel like there's no need to burden somebody else when they got other stuff going on. I know it's their choice, and I see you're looking at me like that. So, yeah, I do burden somebody with it, but it's not the same. It's really not the same as putting every fucking thing on because I can't do that.
Well, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, okay. I was just about to say, you don't necessarily have to put everything on one person. I think the great thing about finding friends and people that you can connect with that can see your flaws and still are like, you're my person. Like you're my human. We connect in a way. I see you, you see me. And just being able to build a community on that, whether it's you only have one friend or you have 10 friends that are like that, but enough that you can just share a little piece of a burden that you carry. Because it doesn't have to be the whole thing. And I was trying to explain this to my one friend the other night, is that you don't have to do it quickly. Like, you don't have to instantly meet someone and be like, you're my best friend, I'm going to tell you everything and just trauma dump on them. But building that trust with people, little by little, to the point where you can share just a tiny bit of any burden you carry with them is just progress. And it's something that I don't think a lot of people know or understand how to do in a way, but it's something that I think should be talked about, is like having the healthy friendships of knowing, how do I word this? Knowing when dumping is too much, but knowing when the person can also handle it. And just having that healthy friendship of like talking about that. And when somebody's like, because again, my friend, he knows he's getting called out, will be very upset. Something will happen and we will talk about it. And then the next day he apologizes and he's like, I shouldn't have done that to you. Like, that's not fair on you. And I'll be like, listen, I've known you for X amount of years. This is what a friendship is. Because I've done that to him and he's done that to me, and it's a healthy balance. Sometimes it's more one way than another, but that is how our friendship works. It's healthy. It's something that we've built, and it's not necessarily a burden to me that he does it, though he views it that way. To me, it's my friend is feeling this way or is going through this, and I want to be there for them and I want to help them through this struggle with this burden.
And I think it's also important on the person who's being there to be open and honest if they're not in a mental, that mental place to do it. Like, if I'm struggling mentally, I can't truly be there for like any of you all, if I got my own struggles. And I think sometimes people will try to put their struggles aside to be there, and they can't truly, like, I think, be there fully. Like, being honest, saying like, hey, I'm not in a good mental space right now to be there. I got to work through this, and then come back and say, like, I still want to be there.
So I have to argue with you on that one. I do.
Okay.
Because many a motherfucking time I said fuck my own shit and said, you know what? Fuck going to therapy. my boy needs me, or this person needs me, or they need me, and got them through what they need to go through. And then I said, okay, cool, I'll handle myself. That's just my mentality, because I will throw everything aside to help somebody else, and I don't give a fuck if I have something that needs to be done. I'm like, it can fucking wait. It's all it is. I'm not saying it's for everybody. I'm just saying that in general, it's not for everybody.
Well, that was just another thing after you said that I was going to point out, is just the fact of all of us having a different mentality and what works for us, because what works for me might not work for Bill.
Mm-hmm.
It might work for Zoom, but it might not work for Terry. Like, it's different for everybody, but being able to recognize that and work with it in your life is another thing.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
also,
I think for me, I just. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Also, it's that thing of some people thrive on helping others because it helps them when somebody dependent on them. It's one of those things that helps them no matter what. It's therapeutic in their own way. No matter how it comes, like, it can be as chaotic as you can think of, and you're dealing with all this hell, and you're just like, you know what? Fuck this. They need help. I got you. Come over here. We're gonna do this together. We'll knock this out. Get you where you need to go. Go to the next level. Get you a little bit further. Go to the next level. You can stand on your own now. Cool. Need anything? You know where I am. Come back. Handle your own shit.
Yeah, I mean, and I get that, and I think I just look back myself, like when I was in my early 20s, that I was not in a mental space where I could actually be of any benefit to people, and if anything, I'd be more harmful. And I think I'm in a place now where, like, the things that I'm dealing with, I know the ones that I can put aside and be there for someone, and I know the ones that are more challenging. And I've been fortunate that, for the most part, I've been able to be there for my friends. But I know that when I am struggling mentally, I may not necessarily be the best advice giver and everything like that.
Yeah, I can concur with that. I understand that. I've been many times. I've been something extreme that somebody said, "What do you think about this?" And it's something big for them, but to me, it was something so fucking minuscule. I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, I just need your help with this." And I stopped, thought about it for a second, figured it out, looks at them, and I'm abrasive. People know that. I'm very abrasive. So I look at them, I was like, "Are you fucking stupid?" And they're like, "Yeah, what do you mean?" Yeah. I was like, A, B, C, and D line up here. Everything else is lining up here. Your life gets better over here. Your life goes to shit over here. Which choice should you fucking take? I laid it out like that. And they're like, "You're right. But you didn't have to be an asshole." I was like, I can't help it.
It's good to be honest, and sometimes you have to be blunt too. And at least for the most part, the person you're talking to, you'll know at that point that if they can handle that bluntness, they know how you are, and to know not to take it too personally. Like, it's not like you're attacking them and trying to make them like a bad person or a crappy person or whatever. You're actually trying to help them out, and I'm a forward person myself. I'm very logical. I like to think logically over emotionally, most cases, and that's how I can see. For you, it might be minuscule, but it's always good to have that outside perspective on the situation. You see it at one angle, and you're gonna see it at a different angle, and they're not gonna see your perspective until you say it. So it's always good to have an outside perspective, regardless of how small that perspective is.
I agree. I go to you and I go to boss a lot with different things because y'all both think way differently from each other and way differently from me. So, that makes sense. It always does. But yeah. Sorry, everybody. Looks like Zoom disconnected. We'll figure out what's going on with that, but we're gonna keep pushing because honestly, I'm not waiting. Let's see here. Do you associate yourself with people that use negative, toss around negative words around you constantly? And do you lose respect for them because they do it? So if they do so, anybody answer right now. So yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's I don't lose disrespect for them because I don't know necessarily what they're going through. And I think it depends on the situation in terms of whether or not associated with. Because like if they're aware that it's something they do and they're struggling with it, I want to and I care about them. I want to be there and to support them. And if I recognize that it's becoming unhealthy for me, then I have to do at the end what's best for me. And I wish them the best. Like I said, I don't think less of them for it.
I get that.
I'm apologizing in advance. Can you repeat that? I disassociated for a second. I was focusing and then you started talking and I like legit disassociated on your name. Just staring at it.
All right. So, do you associate with people that talk negatively and toss negative words around constantly? And do you continue to associate with them?
Okay. Yes, I do. I do associate with them. I am still friends with them. Most of the time I figure out why they speak like that. Are they speaking negatively about themselves? Are they speaking negatively about other people? Are they speaking negatively about me? If it's one of those, why is it? If it's about me, it's normally one of my friends, and it's not necessarily in a mean or degrading way. If it's about themselves, it depends on the person. I've had friends where like they're going through shit, so they talk negatively about themselves, and I try to help them in every way I can. Sometimes it just depends on the situation. I don't think there's ever been a point in my life where somebody in my life has talked negatively and I stopped being friends with them or associating with them. Most of the people I cut out of my life are for other reasons. And not one of them has been because they talk negatively about me, themselves, or other people. Unless it's like in a sense that they are being a bigot towards a specific like race or something. Like I don't do that. I don't condone racism, and I'm gonna fight somebody who does. So come at me. We'll fight.
Okay. So, Zoom.
Yes.
You got your message. Your stuff crashed. I got
Yes.
you. You're good. You're good.
I figured it out.
Do you? We're gonna throw you a curveball.
Okay.
Actually, no, we're not. We're gonna go with this because I know the answer to this. I know the answer to this. So we're gonna see what you're gonna say. Do you lose respect for those that toss around negative words constantly? If so, why do you still continue to associate with them?
I do start to lose respect for people who do use like a lot of negative terms and stuff. If I were to still be like associating with them, there must be something deeper. So like deeper as in like something is happening in their lives. They're having a negative output on life. They're reacting in a negative way. Even if it's not right, I'll be there. I will still be the friend that they kind of need to hopefully become like a better person. Because I'm not going to leave anyone like in the dust. I'm never going to leave like people alone unless it's like very racist, things like that. They are discriminating against people. I won't do that. I love people for who they are and everything else. If you're just like down to earth, a very bad person, you're not going to be part of my life. And if I am still in your life and you're a negative person, it's probably because I see something in you. Like I see potential. I know you're just going through like a hard time or anything like that. So I'm going to be there for the people.
So what you said was, even if you're still there, you're still going to be there for them because you see potential in them, correct?
I hope so.
So what happens when you start losing that potential?
Then I'm gone. then I gotta leave.
Okay.
It's over. I
Okay.
can't support people. They don't want to be the good person. Then they don't need me in their life.
Felicia.
I know when to cut my ties. I gotta cut my ties. I gotta cut it, even if it hurts.
No, I mean I kind of get that too. It's like
It's just hard.
it's like if you're trying to be there for someone and help them work through whatever, like you recognize that like it goes deeper than just they're just a negative person. Like
Yeah.
But if you know, going back to like drug addicts, you know, it's like almost like that. Like you're being there trying to support them, you know, help them, everything like that. But if at the end of the day they don't want to do the work and it's affecting myself and everything, and like or the people I care about, you know, I can't, you know, I can't let them bring me down with them.
Yeah,
Get that.
unfortunately, I think I am the type of person who lets people bring me down with them. And I don't want to be that person, but I know I am. They're having a hard time. I know, unfortunately, I'm the person, if they call, I'm going to answer my phone.
Go ahead.
There's
Go ahead. Just do it.
I think this is a womanly trait too. For a lot of women, I've seen this happen time and time again. A lot of times it's through marriages too. You see a woman's with a man, she sees the potential in this man that she's invested with, married to, and she sticks with him for the longest time. And in each individual woman will go through traumatic things, emotional trauma, physical abuse, all those kind of things. They kind of add up, and they kind of just, for a certain time, at least there's like a window that they allow to happen. And then eventually, I hope they realize that this person isn't not only worthy of their time or energy, but also that they're kind of dragging them down, because now it's going to affect you and traumatize you to the point where it's not good for anyone. But I do believe that is more of a womanly trait. It's not a bad thing, but I see it happen time and time again.
Yeah, I have like a
All right.
caregiver trait.
So
I want to be there and take care of people.
So, as boss knows, because I know she's gonna look at me weird if I don't say something. I did the same thing. It wasn't really abusive or anything like that, to the point that, okay, don't look at me like that. It wasn't abusive or anything like that, to the point of like physical, anything like that. But it was to the point of manipulation and keeping me there for certain reasons. And I stayed because I invested so much time, so much effort, so much energy, and I fell in love and everything. And I was like, it's going to get better. We're going to do better. I got to start going to therapy because I think I'm the problem. Find out I have my problems. And yeah, I start getting better, start growing. And then everything else stayed the same, though. Nothing changed. So obviously that relationship ended by myself for a good couple of years, just working on myself and figuring out what to do next and what's my next play. How do I do anything? Don't deal with relationships anymore. That'd be the best thing. So I don't have to worry about ever being in that situation again for a while. And yeah, then kind of developed a little bit more. And I said, you know what? I'm good. It wasn't me. And then the big move here, and got fucking pep in my fucking step or some shit. And then, I'm good. And I realized that. So yeah.
Progress.
So, yeah. Some progress. We'll say some.
Yeah. One day at a time, one step at a time.
I just think about like you can be there to try to support someone, but like I said, if they're not willing to work on themselves, then eventually you cross that line into like enabling, and that's when it can put that strain on you.
Yeah. Let's see here. Savage. Same question.
When I was younger, I was kind of like that, where no matter what, I try to get the person to be in a better state, even if they were dragging me down. And this is when I was really young. I was a very more emotional person, a more I still care and I still show emotion from time to time, but like I said before, I'm more a logical person. And I see it as only certain people are worth my time, and I can tell from case to case, at least from my perspective, I can see if they're going to be worth it or not. You only have so much time in this world, and as much as I like to help everyone in this world, you can't. So I dedicate my time to the people that I know that not only am I going to be interacting on a day-to-day basis, or people I just care for, simple people like, yeah, I know people on Twitch. I hang out with them sometimes occasionally on games or, Discord, whatever, but then there's other people that I'm more on an intimate connection with. I had friends that people that I call like close friends, like you, Raider, or obviously like, Boss Lady, she's my fiance and stuff like that. And that's a more intimate connection, and I obviously want to put more investment in time. And I've had people, I thought I knew that they were going to be someone I would be spending either my whole life with or just people I'm going to be involved with, and eventually I had to drop them because their negative life was influencing mine, and I didn't want that to continue to just bring me down, so I had to let them go. Sometimes they are too far to help, and you can only wish them the best of luck to find what they need, but you can only do so much before it's going to be too much for you to be dealing with.
I see you staring at me. I see you. So, yes, I deal with people that talk negatively about themselves and use negative words constantly. I still deal with them. I did cut several of them recently. Yeah. No, they're way worse. Way worse
Yeah, I
off.
know.
And I did cut some of them recently. And, I have that mentality of hold the line. Like, I'm sorry. It's one of those things because I've lost too many fucking friends to everything. And it's one of those things of losing a friendship, it's fine. But losing a friend to their own demons is different. So I have that mentality, and everybody calls Captain Sabaho, whatever, shine white knight, whatever it is. I'm always that guy. Is like, I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to get you back up. I'm going to get you to where you need to be. Like I explained earlier, it's ingrained in me because from a young age I was taught you take care of people. That's what you do. We take care of our family. We take care of our community. And that's what you do. People get close enough to me, they become part of that. They might have not be that way themselves, but I consider them that way. Then, I try. I try as hard as I can until I can't do anything else. It's put me out 3 or 4 different times. 4, yeah. So it's put me out 4 times to where I lost a fucking lot. And I'm a glutton for punishment, obviously, because I still do it. I'm getting better at it. I'm gonna say that. I am. Okay, I see you shaking your head. But I'm trying to get better at it. There we go. I'm trying to get better at it. Like I said, I can't bullshit nobody because she's gonna call me on all my fucking shit. But yeah. That's it for me on that one. Next one, something I'm decently good at whenever I'm not cold and callous. Let's say that. How to teach yourself to positively coax others without losing your cool. So they're spiraling. They're actually going down. What words do you use to coax them to get back to even keel. In other words, and the other way of saying this is you kind of manipulate them a little bit because you're trying to change their minds and put it toward what you want, which is unfortunately a key trait of sociopath. And some of us have that trait, Some of us don't. It's one of those things of, what do you do to get them back to that level-headed, be able to take control and take their own, take the right advice. Because I have a friend that just recently said, I'm gonna leave my boyfriend and everything like that. She told me straight up that I'm leaving him. I was like, okay, what do you need? That was all I asked. What do you need? Like, I don't know yet. I was like, you're leaving, and without a plan, without anywhere to go, anything like that. And I'm saying, do you need a place to go? Do you have a vehicle? This is the basics of all of it. And she's like, no. A week later goes by, she's still there. And I'm like, okay, let's so you can't figure out what to do, so you have to coax them. What do you do in that situation, Lana?
Oh. I think for me it depends on the person. It depends on the specific situation. I have guided friends from deep ends, from stupid decisions. I have gently nudged them into the right decision of leaving relationships. I think for me, it depends. Is it one of my friends that's a female or a male? What the situation is specifically, and how well do I know them? Because if this is like somebody that's like an associate friend, like I know them through people, I definitely take a different approach than if it's a friend or a close friend or a best friend. And I think it's just knowing what the best outcome would be and helping gently nudge them by, I kind of want to say like coaxing them like a child in a way, in the sense of if they're in an abusive relationship. I had a friend, she was in an abusive relationship and she kept telling me about it. And instead of getting fed up and yelling at her, I sat her down and I was like, and I just let her talk. I was like, what's going on? I was like, tell me, I won't judge. And the more that she explained it to me, and I was like, well, are you feeling safe? She's like, well, no. And I was like, well, what is it that you want? And like trying to find out what it is that her end goal was. And then, in a sense, pushing her into something that she might have gotten to eventually, but in situations like that, just nudging it to happen a bit faster for her safety. Or like if I've had a friend that's on the edge and just saying things to, I don't know how I want to word this, talking to them in a way that they, like, I understand what they're going through, but also like reminding them that, like what's going to happen if you go. Like, not to like make them feel like shitty for having those feelings, because we do have them, but also like reminding them that like there are people that care about you, so don't necessarily let those feelings drag you. Try and repurpose them if you can.
Savage. Your friend's going, let's just say your friend's going out, had a bad day. You know it's a bad idea. You already know it's a bad idea because you know how shitty of the day it was. You know they can't control themselves when they drink. How do you coax them out of that?
Coax them out of it. Okay. Personally, since this is a good friend, right? This is someone
Yes,
I know really close.
Somebody you know really close.
Okay. Well, if they're trying to go back out, I just wouldn't let them go back out. Especially if they're trying to go out and drink. If they're already in a negative mindset, it's a bad idea to let them go out and drink while in a negative mindset, because that can actually that just makes it worse. When you get drunk, everyone's different how you react when you're drunk. I mean, for me, I'm just giddy. I dance and sing. I'm goofy. That's just how I am when I'm drunk. I'm more I guess, loose, I guess would be the word for it. I'm not as rigid. But other people, when they drink, they get nasty, they get really vocal or physical, what have you. So if this person I know is a close friend of mine, I'm going to get up to them. I'm going to find where they are. I'm going to take the keys from them. I'm going to make sure they stay home. They may hate me in that moment. I'll deal with it. And then when they wake up, they'll probably apologize for it. Because if I know you personally, like a friend like that, then um, I'll know I'll be able to handle their emotional stance at that moment. If they're in a negative mindset, I know I won't take it negatively. I won't take it personally. I'm just gonna bite through it and then wait till the next day and then look at them, maybe taunt them a little bit if they're in a better mindset. You're like, what did we learn? That kind of thing. But yeah, that's how I would react to that situation.
Okay. Bill,
Yes, sir.
we're going to do a little different situation for you.
Okay.
So I revealed on a previous podcast before we got up and running again, I've diagnosed schizophrenia. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm that friend when you need copes. My situation is mania, obviously hallucinating, auditory, visual, and I'm talking to you. We're in Discord, we're talking, and it just happens. And I let you know, I was like, look, I'm feeling like this. I don't feel right. Got 20, 30 things going on at one time. I'm seeing things. And, I was like, I just saw my best friend. My best friend's been dead for 2 years. So it don't add up. How do you coax me off the edge?
Oh, I mean, I think the first thing I'm gonna ask, if based on the scenario you're giving me, it sounds like you are somewhat aware that you're having an episode, for lack of a better word. I'm gonna ask you what you need from me, like in that moment, because I'm in unfamiliar territory with this specifically.
I'll let you know. There's three right ways to go about this, and there's honestly 100 to 1,000 different ways that this could go bad. This is a setup for a failure, anyways. Just letting you know that. So if you don't get it right, don't feel bad.
No, I know, and I understand that, but my hope is that like if you're unaware, if they, just ask you, what it is you need from me in that moment, like where, how can I best be helpful? And if you're not able to communicate that, then, it's just to, let you know that like I'm going to be there with you in that call until you get through it.
It works a lot with depression. That works a lot with, anxiety, everything like that. But schizophrenia is that personality traits that gets you, because one side of it, I notice it, I do feel it, I can feel them coming on sometimes, and I do have mania moments. Other time, I don't know shit. I don't know a fucking thing, and I'm just talking to you. I'm on autopilot.
Right.
So honestly, the easiest thing to say about this is kind of gotta say fuck it and say, all right, who are the people that have dealt with him like this? If you know, try to get in touch with them. They usually have his address, so they can get somebody there ASAP. Because the way mine goes is I spiral, I go to mania. So it's going to be a week, no sleep, drinking. How do you know? I quit smoking recently. Probably smoking. Because I can't handle anything. I don't know how to settle myself down. I don't know how to get myself anywhere to a calm. Dissociation, constant jumping back and forth of, places I go in Discord constantly, because I can't get my thoughts together and can't keep track of the conversations. Everything's just too loud. And then silence, because I'm just like, I can't deal with this. So I go to my own little corner, blast music, because music is my soothing thing. And you know me, it's metal. So I blast metal in my headphones so I can figure out a single fucking thought. 99% of the time, it's always the same thought. It's this has to stop, this has to end, and I don't want to be here anymore because I can't deal with this anymore. So things like that, it's always a cycle, and it's always a downward spiral. No matter what you do, it's kind of hard when you want to help somebody and you can't help them. That's a situation that there's no winner. My roommate's dealt with me before like this a couple times, so he knows. His first go-to, not gonna lie, I'm gonna knock you the fuck out. That's his first go-to. I'm gonna knock you the fuck out, call 911, then we golden. But that's if I'm spiraling. Everyday life for me, I talk to 3 or 4 people a day, at least, at minimum. And there's always the same people. So usually there's a calming nature behind them, and it makes me where I feel I'm good. Most time they know it, most time they don't know it. Most time they think we're just hanging out. You know, it's not a bad thing. So, not saying you did a bad job at all. Not saying that at all. You know, that is the textbook, you know, how you're supposed to handle like situations where you're like, you know, what can I do for you? How can I help you? Everything like that. But some situations, words can't help.
Right. And that's a diagnosis and an experience that I've never had to
I understand
deal
that.
with. Yeah, so I'm just like going based on instinct, but I get it. Yeah.
I get it. You didn't do bad. Most people are just like, are you okay?
And like you said,
that.
though, one of the first things you should do is find someone that he knows and that you know that's going to help him out. I've dealt with that with a few people on stream, you know, and it wasn't like they were having a manic episode, but they were having a traumatic moment. I'm not going to say who it was, but he was really drunk and he was dealing with some life things, and he was just on stream to 100 people because he's a partner streamer. And you know, at the moment I was just getting to know him, and so the first thing I did was I reached out to someone he knew, he was really close with. I was like, hey, I know you're really close to this person, can you, because we're all trying to get him to just end the stream, you know, he shouldn't be doing what he's doing right now on stream. He should be doing this with, you know, close friends, not people he doesn't know with, really. And so that's the first thing I did, is I found the person he was close to at the moment, and it was a woman, but she was eventually able to break through, but it took a while. It was like 30 minutes, but if I didn't do that, I don't know how long it would have taken for him just to, you know, get over that. So when in doubt, you know, always try to at least find someone that you know that they're personally connected to.
Zoom.
Yes.
Big smile and everything. You ready? You ready?
No.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah, you didn't know it was going to go like this, did you?
No.
Nobody ever does.
No.
I say, fuck the script and say, I do my own fucking thing.
At least everybody got a prompt. I was just told, what do you do?
I didn't
Like-
get the prompt.
You know?
That makes sense.
Yep. Go with the flow, right? So, your best girly friend, okay? Best girly friend, she's stressed out a lot. She's overworked, doesn't have time to go out and take care of herself, anything like that, like to relax or just get rid of that stress, is, you know, calling you crying. What do you do?
So my computer froze, so I got like half of that. Overworked, stress, calling you crying.
All right. Your best girlfriend calls you stressed out. But you know already she's overworked. She needs a vacation. She needs time off. She needs to go out. She needs to do something, but she can't before the time because she's either do that or sleep. You know, she's working her ass off, constant grinding, trying to get better for herself, you know, trying to do good at the job, get promotions, everything like that. But she calls you crying, thinking that, you know, I don't know what to do anymore. I'm not doing enough. Like, you know, What do you do to cope?
So this actually happened with my best friend in real life. Like, actually happened. So what I actually did, I stayed on the phone with her the whole time. She didn't know. I packed my bags and I stayed with her for a week. I cleaned her house. I cooked for her. I took care of her. I was there. I'm the friend who wants to be there. And I didn't even tell her. I just showed up. I sat there on the phone. I let her cry. I let her get everything out. I showed up with my bags packed with a box of pizza and cleaning supplies. And I cleaned her house. I let her do the things that she needed to do. I made sure she was able to sleep in. She woke up with coffee in the morning. She woke up with breakfast. And as she was heading out the door, I made sure she was good. And I stayed back and I cleaned and made sure she was taken care of. That way, at least something little could be taken off of her shoulders. But for her and like my friends, once you get to know me, I will stop what I am doing to be there. If that's what they need, I'm going to do it. If it's a plane ticket that I need to buy, I'm going to go and buy it and I'm going to go be there for that person. If you mean that much to me, I'm never going to let you handle it alone. Like, I'm not going to do that. So I'm there.
I can attest to that.
Curveball. You can't physically be there any way, shape, or form. What do you do?
Well, all right, I'll put this one in perspective a little bit. My grandma's birthday just passed and she just had surgery and she was sad that I couldn't be there for her in California. So as I was on the phone with her, I just FaceTime her. I talked to her. I DoorDashed her flowers. I DoorDashed her breakfast because she said she couldn't eat. And so I made sure I got her smoothie and I got her things that she would be able to eat. So even though I couldn't be there physically, I just sat there on the phone. I let her talk to me, tell me what was going on. I let her cry. That's what she needed. I let her go through those emotions. And at the same time, I'm ordering stuff to make her feel better, making her smile, making things just a little bit easier so she can have like a better birthday. So I like to at least take something off their plate. If I can take something off the plate, that's what I'm going to do. Make it just a little bit lighter.
Bill.
Yes, sir.
Now we're going to talk about what you wanted to talk about the most. Yeah.
I mean, I think there was multiple things that I wanted to talk about. Yeah.
I know.
I've talked about some of it already.
Yeah. Let's talk about the words that honestly have the most derogatory meanings, slurs, everything like that, and how they make us feel. Some of us aren't affected by it. Some of us instantly rage. Some of us, it bothers them, but they can walk it off, Like, I'm going to say a couple of them. So, some of them like cunt, bitch, hoe, nigger, motherfucker. Do you mind if I say this, Bill?
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, for the purpose of like education, yeah.
Kike.
Right.
Things like that.
Now, sorry, I never heard that one before. What is that in reference to?
It's a derogatory term for Jewish people.
Okay, Jewish people.
I think its history comes from Nazi Germany.
Okay. Interesting.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yes.
Because I also had no clue. I've never heard it in my life.
Nope.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So those words right there are usually some people's trigger words. Not all of them, honestly, because let's be honest, my trigger word is bastard. That's my trigger word. To make me, I don't care who you are. I will fucking fight instantly. Go ahead.
I have a question. Is it just the word itself? Like if you just hear somebody saying it, but it's not about you, or does it have to be like specifically said to you?
It has to be specifically
or about you.
Said about me and to me.
Okay. I was just asking because me and my two older sisters jokingly call ourselves bastards because all three of us were born out of wedlock. So I just wanted to make sure I could.
Yeah. So it has to be drawn directed at me in a derogatory way, not like, because
like your best friend and you joking around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's my trigger word. Everything else, I can just whatever. I don't care. So that's just that's my button. That's my button. So yeah. Anybody have certain words that they're just like instantly just sends them into red.
I mean, we did talk about this a little bit, like, that word that you like asked permission to say.
Mhm.
I don't know if it sent me in the red. I was so shocked when it was the first time I ever heard it. And I was more just scared because the person who said it, he like, I mean, even though it was on the phone, he was so angry. I mean, this guy started like harassing my parents by calling their house. Like, I don't like like I guess reverse search or something, like, and things like that. This, I think years later I realized like he is a deeply, deeply troubled man. But at the time I was just like, I was stunned. I think today if someone said it to me, I'd be like, and now we're done. Like, you do not exist to me anymore. When you're getting to the point where you're using that word,
Mhm.
I don't see any hope for redemption for you, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna walk away. Because like there have been times when I think people say things and they don't even realize in a way that it's derogatory. And like there's a moment and that's where accountability comes in. That there's a moment for education. I remember like when I was like in my mid-20s, I was working at a flooring store, like selling carpet and stuff, and this guy was just trying to like pinch every penny out of the deal. And I finally made the sale, and like the guy in our warehouse who was like loading them up said, that guy really tried to Jew you down. I don't even think he made the connection that what he was saying was in reference to Jewish people.
Mhm.
Okay.
It was just a phrase to him that people said. And I was like,
Yeah.
hold up. And I was like, hold up. You do understand I'm Jewish, right? And he was like, okay. And he's like, and
Well,
that saying is a reference to a stereotype that Jewish people are cheap. And he's like, he just didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
And it was a moment for education.
You get that.
I don't think there's anything that sends me into like a red rage.
yeah.
I don't use the N-word. It's not my thing. I don't use racial slurs. That's not me. I do curse.
Nobody knew that.
Yeah. Kind of figures.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a second language to me. There were words that I didn't use before that I do use now. And that's just as I've evolved. I also like if I say a curse word and it offends somebody, I hope that they come up to me and we have a conversation about it so that I can be more informed when I'm with this person. I haven't had that happen because most of my friends and my family, unless it's my grandma, are fine with me cursing. They know it's a part of me. They know that if I'm cursing with you, I feel safe. Because if I'm very polite to you and I'm not cursing, I don't know you. I don't feel safe with you. I don't feel comfortable with you. If I'm somebody that, like, if I meet you and I start to feel comfortable and I start cursing, especially when it starts getting to words that have triggered me in the past, which is cunt and whore. Like, if I start using those words, then I feel safe. I may not have known you long, but I've gotten to know you to a point where I can at least consider you a friend and feel that I can be more myself. But if I'm just polite to you, then
In the
no,
same
thank you.
way, if I'm polite to you, I don't trust you.
You're polite to me all the fucking time.
No, I'm not. Friendly and polite are very different because I'm a very polite person, especially in my field of work. I use very proper manners. I grew up in a household where if my pinky wasn't up, I'm going to get smacked. So I have very well manners. I could be nice or I could be just neutral me.
Yeah. I can. For me, not one word really bothers me. I mean, when you look at me, you don't see a Native American, but I'm part Native American. And there's terms for that could be offensive to a lot of Native Americans, but and there's a lot of history behind certain words, especially when it's racial slurs. The N word could be when a person uses it in a certain phrase or a certain structuring of the sentence, or emotional impact of it, how they emphasize it essentially. Sometimes people use it in a friendly context, but a lot of the times people don't use the word because obviously it even though they may be trying to use it in a friendly context, it may still be seen as a negative way. So a lot of times people don't even use the word. But for like a Native American, though, it's like redskin or something like that, or if it's like it's an Asian person, it might be yellow skin or whatever. And then you got others, other slurs that are like, I'm gonna say like, Spanish is spick, stuff like that. There's history behind it. There's a lot of trauma behind that word, and depending on the person too, it can hold more meaning to that person than others. For me, I never use those slurs because at the end of the day, I judge people based on their characters, not by their skin.
Mhm.
And we all bleed the same at the end of the day. We're all human. So that's how I see it. So I don't use racial slurs, and for me personally, I don't have a word that really bothers me. Honestly, if you call me a cracker, I might actually just laugh at it. Like, okay, is that supposed to offend me? I'm white. Yes, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm so white I make paper look darker. Like, I'm not joking.
Yeah, but that's how I see it, at least. It depends on person to person too, and how words can offend you or hold power over you. For me
Mhm.
personally, they don't hold power over me. I don't allow it to.
I get that. I'm just an asshole. I
No,
am.
really?
I'm a reactive asshole. I'm just a reactive asshole. So that's just it for me on that one. But I want to thank you all so much for coming. Hang around a little bit, okay? Because, well, you two know what to do when I say that. Because you got to make sure this stuff goes up the right way.
No one leaves. Not yet.
Thank you all for joining the raid.
Been a
We'll have
pleasure.
another episode published out next week. And it's me and Savage. It's called Meet the Host. You get to learn a lot about us that, Boss Lady put the questions in. So we get to hear some funny stories that I didn't want to publish, but it got published anyways.
Well, that's
So,
too
yeah.
damn bad.
I know. All right, everybody. Thank y'all so much tonight for coming. We'll see you next time.